There's a really cool thing that happens in wilderness that I don't know if it happens in other treatment centers, because we'll come out there for 2 days of therapy, and then we'll leave, we'll go back, and we'll come back a week later. And you just see these huge changes happen in the span of a week.
Several times I've seen it over and over again where you'll have a kid come in, they're crying, they're falling apart, they're writing these letters home to parents like, I want to die, I can't do this is torture, this is awful. And then a week later or 2 weeks later, sometimes it's as quickly as a week, they're like so loving it and so engaged and feel so free. They're finally sober, maybe for the first time in a year, and it's like an awakening that they have out there.
So what about a wilderness therapy experience makes it so that it works so effectively in a person's life to help them change in very fundamental ways? One, there are no distractions.
You take away the cell phone, you take away Facebook, you take away the parents, you take away your friends, you take away the boyfriends and the girlfriends, you take everything else away.
A young man or young woman can feel silence. And I say feel silence because I believe that that's one of the most important pieces of a wilderness therapy experience. Lending a person the ability to hear their own voice. And that's one of the most important things we can help them do. And in a lot of ways, we help them by just getting out of the way of it. The other aspect to this is the relationship. So if I'm in the middle of nowhere, I want to know how to sort of live my life in the middle of nowhere in a functional way. Well, I probably want to ask those who know how to do that better than I do.
And all of a sudden the staff becomes the expert. And so then the student has effectively picked the teacher. That's pretty effective when somebody picks you to be their teacher. I don't think you can do that in a hospital setting. I don't think you can have that in a school setting. I think that you really have to be out in the environment where they really don't know anything.
So a wilderness therapy program engenders an efficient relationship building experience. Another piece, another reason why wilderness therapy is powerful is that clients and staff are living in a metaphor. They're not just being taught things and then metaphors are being drawn from them. They're living in one.
When there's a huge snowstorm and we get 3 feet of snow in the middle of the night and nobody was prepared, and how is this like your life? How do you handle these situations when you're out there? Do you fall apart, or do you get your backpack and make a shovel out of it and shovel yourself out?
If I live too much artificially in an artificial environment, I won't be able to sense reality very well. Out in the wilderness, you're not living in an artificial environment, you're living in reality.
I think another thing that can be really amazing about wilderness is that you realize how unimportant you really are. You have this incredible beauty out here in the Utah wilderness, and when you start falling in love with it, you realize you're just such a tiny, tiny part of it. And when you realize that you have a responsibility to this sort of greater good. I think the word that some philosophers use is mysterium tremendum fascinans, which is tremendous and mysterious beauty. And I think that is really what inspires the kids.
So wilderness provides an opportunity therapeutically to get into more of what's going on with the student. We're able to understand at a greater level what he or she is struggling with.
It's almost magical, but I mean, it just speeds up the process so much that people just get a chance to change so fast that it's really cool to be a part of.